Yes, it is sharp 11 a.m. Thank you everyone who's joined in. The topic of the day is a very, very tricky one, at least as I feel. I think it's a super tricky topic for me, at least, when I try to study it and try to understand it. It's basically restoration of some insured. It's called in different, everybody has created their, every insurer has created its own names like Reload, Refill, Reassure, and there are so many creative names that exist today for restatement of some sort. But let's understand this. Let's see if this feature or this benefit is really useful. What are the kind of variants that exist of this restoration of some insured benefit? Also, try to see if we can do a comparison of this. The idea here would be, that I will take around 20 to 25 minutes of time to share my learnings. I am not doing this, not a one-sided webinar where I am going to talk about stuff I know as much as a lot of people on the call right now. Not that I'm, or maybe lesser. So this is not a one-sided kind of a lecture. If you have heard the earlier webinars, you would know that my role is of an anchor. I'm here to just set some context for us, all of us, to discuss this topic. I'll share my learnings for the first 20 to 25 minutes. I'll try to keep it as short as possible so that it's not boring. Then you can share yours, and we all basically end up learning something or the other, right? Before I start, I'll have to do the traditional ritual of explaining what is a Beshak. And because most of you are repeat listeners, I'll keep it short. Beshak is basically a neutral community platform. We don't sell or advertise insurance ourselves. We are bringing together the best, the most well-meaning folks of the industry, from experts to financial advisors, all under one roof to help users make regret-proof, worry-free insurance decisions. About me, I am Avi Chopra, and I have around 15 to 16 years of experience in retail insurance, most of it in distribution. I've set up claim processes in distribution platforms. I have led insurer relationships in large insurance broking companies, and I've also been part of strategy. I've been part of sales. I've been part of operations in insurance distribution companies. So that's about me. Uh, the recording of this and many other giveaways that we want to start creating based on the discussions that we have would be given away to people who have joined this webinar and to people who are onboarded on our platform as an advisor. We have started onboarding financial advisors on our platform from multiple things that we want to basically start engaging financial advisors because they, according to us, they form a very, very important part of the community that we want to build. The idea is that we have the subject matter experts in place. We have customers who are coming in regularly. We also need financial advisors because they are the people who, on the ground, in reality, objectively, actually solve for real problems that customers have. Everything else, like people like me, only are giving gyan. So financial advisors are going to be the real rock stars of our platform for sure in the long run. So I would like to invite any of you who's not in on right now registered themselves as an advisor on our portal to please go ahead and register. It's completely free. Yes, so a lot of advertisement of Beshak that's been done. Sorry about it. I had to spend 1.5, 2 minutes to do that. Uh, we now start the discussion. Yeah, so like I said, I'll set up the context. I have put my notes together, done a quick update check of whatever I knew yesterday, and here's what I would have my learnings to share. I'll try to wind it up by, let's say, 11, 20, 25, and post that. Would love to open it up for discussion. I would love to hear from others on the call. A lot of people who are extremely highly experienced people on the call right now. So to learn better, right? So, quick context: restoration as a benefit was introduced first in by Apollo Munich, and this was way back in 2012. So, restoration is no more a feature which is unique with one insurer. Every insurer who's in the business seriously, it has restoration in its benefits now. So it's almost like a 9-year-old benefit. It's not a novelty anymore. The main problem that the benefit was trying to address at since 2012 it has been trying to address is the concern that there is a limited sum insured that people take, especially in floater policies. And now, if multiple people are covered under the same policy, what if the sum insured gets exhausted because of one large hospitalization, and the remaining family members, including the family member who got hospitalized, do not have any sum insured left for the remaining part of the year, right? And that's basically what restoration of sum insured has tried to solve. That if there are multiple hospitalizations that happen a year, can the floater policy or even the individual policy come into action and still be able to pay claims, right? While it differs from policy to policy, restoration basically promises to reinstate the sum insured in case the sum insured is exhausted, right? It is also in the market sold by people. I would not call them advisors. There are a lot of people who would promise this as a 1+1 free cover, like एक के साथ एक 5 लाख के साथ 5 लाख free cover. How true is that? Does it really work like that? Is what we want to discuss today, right? Now I'm going to share three key things I have learned about Restore, and these are things which obviously I'm not talking about the basic stuff here specifically because I'm assuming that because this is an advisor webinar or an advisor interaction, a lot of the basic stuff about Restore you would already know about, right? So the three key things that I'm going to share are things that I have found to be very interesting, and I have found them to be kind of learnings a little later than what I would have learned about the basics about Restore. So Restore will right now I'll talk about point number one. Restore actually will reinstate the sum insured to the base coverage. That's the first point. No claims can be made above the base sum insured. Uh, or the base sum insured plus all kinds of bonuses in the policy. So why I'm saying this is because in case of one large hospitalization, restoration in almost all the policies that exist today, actually all policies that exist today, in my view, wouldn't actually work, right? For instance, there is this Times of India article that is doing rounds right now, which talks about a person who is living in Mumbai who has a 1 crore bill on hospitalization because he's been in ICU for almost close to a year now. And because this hospitalization is a single hospitalization, and let's say if this is the first hospitalization, then restore does not kick in those cases. Restore kicks in all policies only from the second claim onwards because of the pure meaning of the product being restored, right? The word itself says that it is a restoration of a claim or an amount that has been used up from your plan. Would like to hear what are the learnings others have, but this is what I have learned. The other most important thing is how useful a restore is would depend upon around four things, which are super important. The first and the most important thing, in my view, we are right now talking purely from a client's point of view and purely from a point of view of today, and plans being not very expensive today compared to the various varied variants of the restoration option that we will discuss later in this webinar. Uh, the prices are not very different. Basis of that, there are these four things that basically will tell us whether a restore benefit is useful or less useful, right? The first one obviously is whether it covers related illnesses. What does this mean? It obviously means that if there are multiple claims in a year and they happen for the same illness, right? Whether the plan will also restore some insured and trigger some restoration for those kind of illnesses. That's the first point, right? If it most of the old plans, like what I'm talking about, when let's say plans were first introduced with the restoration benefit, they covered only unrelated illnesses, right? And these unrelated illnesses obviously would be something which would happen much more rarely and would not be so frequent as compared to, let's say, someone falling ill and needing multiple hospitalizations in one year. So in a degree of usefulness, and in a plan which covers related illness is obviously more useful than a plan which covers only unrelated illness. Plans which cover related also cover unrelated, so they are more comprehensive. The second point, inside whether a restore will be useful or not, and the degree of usefulness is whether it will get triggered for a future claim based on partial exhaustion or full exhaustion, right? Now, this was something for people who have been in this industry for a long time. They would know that earlier plans required full exhaustion of the sum insured, including all the bonuses, and only then, like there should be not even 1 rupee left in the sum insured, base sum insured plus the bonus. Only then will a restore get triggered, right? Which has changed in in the recent times, by which there have been a lot of insurers who now say that I will also cover partial exhaustion, which basically means that, let's say there is a 5 lakh cover and there is a claim of 4 lakh 60,000 rupees, and there is a 40K that is pending remaining in the balance sum insured. Let's say there is no claim bonus, nothing left, and there is only 40K that is left in the balance base sum insured of the policy, and there is another claim which is, let's say, of 3 lakhs. In a scenario where partial exhaustion is covered, the restoration benefit will get triggered. In a scenario where the partial exhaustion is not covered and only full exhaustion is covered, in those cases, the restoration benefit will not get triggered, right? So it's a super important thing, because all these things are related to the frequency of these things happening and hence being factored into the pricing of this product in the long run and in the short run, right? So policies which cover partial exhaustion obviously are better than policies which cover full exhaustion and only then trigger restoration benefit. The third one is whether restore will be applicable, and restore will trigger for all kinds of claims and cover all core line items in a health insurance policy. Now, there are multiple policies which say that restoration is covered only for inpatient hospitalization, not covered for daycare, not covered for domiciliary, not covered for modern surgeries, and a lot of these things that come under after the benefit of inpatient in a policy, right? It's an important thing to understand, and the usefulness of a restoration benefit improves if it covers uh, more line items, if I could call them those, or more benefits apart from only covering inpatient treatments. The last one is slightly okayish benefit, I would say, but it's important for us to note it, is whether the restoration is unlimited or how many times can a restoration happen. Now, we are talking about people with adequate coverage, right? People whom we want to advise are people who should have adequate coverage, in my view, beyond even having a restoration benefit. So whether a frequency of multiple times restoration is useful or not is something obviously that's up for discussion. But it does make a difference if the premiums are not different between two insurers, one offering unlimited restorations and the other offering only one-time restoration. So these are the four specific sub benefits of a restoration or conditions in a restoration benefit that would lead to whether restoration is really useful or not useful. Right? That's the second thing I wanted to discuss, which is how useful is a restoration benefit, and obviously we'll discuss this further. The third important thing is there are some hidden conditions based on the research that the team at Beshak has done recently that need to be looked at. And would love to know if there are more such hidden conditions that others have seen. But here are three that we wanted to point out. One condition that we found out in some of these policies which promise restoration is that restoration can be used only once in the lifetime for critical illnesses. Like if someone has, let's say, a heart attack, or someone has cancer, then restoration benefit will be triggered only once in the lifetime for those illnesses. It will not get triggered multiple times, which severely impacts the use of the restoration benefit, if you visualize what I'm trying to say. When you think of restoration, you are actually thinking that it will get used mostly in cases of critical illnesses, because you're talking about frequent hospitalizations, you're talking about some insured getting exhausted, you're talking about those kind of things which are typically serious and which will lead to your sum insured completely getting exhausted. So critical illness is one of the primary reasons why you are trying to buy a restoration cover, because those are the times when you need a larger cover. But there are policies which basically say that restoration can only be used once in the lifetime for critical illnesses. Then there is one more policy, and I will ask the team to name these policies once we come to the discussion side. Is which says that restoration is not applicable for critical illnesses. So there are policies which say restoration is applicable only one time. There is one policy which says that restoration is not applicable for critical illnesses at all. Right? It's very important for every one of us to know that. And then there are insurance companies which basically even charge proportionately for reinstatement of the sum insured. Now, this is mentioned in the policy wordings. I was surprised when I read it. I don't know how many of you already knew about it, but it basically says is that if there is a restoration that happens at any time, if there is any reinstatement that happens at any time, the insurer will charge for the restoration sum insured that is got restored. So if let's say the partial exhaustion was and the remaining sum insured was 40K out of the 5 lakh sum insured that the person had bought, and now there is a restoration for a second, like I discussed right now, of let's say 4,60,000 rupees. The insurer will proportionately charge for this 4,60,000 rupees, right? So it will be charged whenever it gets used, right? Is what the insurer is trying to say, right? Now, I think I've taken good 12, 13 minutes of explaining my learnings. These are the three learnings that I have. One is the hidden conditions. Second is how useful can a restore be is dependent on the sub benefits or the sub conditions in the restoration benefit, and which should be understood well. And obviously, the third one, which basically says that restoration can be maximum, the restoration can be used only up to the sum insured for every claim that is made. It's not that you can claim more than the sum insured at any time, right? We'll take up some scenarios. We'll pull maybe together, take up some scenarios and discuss this. Now is when we wanted to discuss certain questions, and now it's time that we can open it up for discussion also. The first question that we have is, and which is what we want to discuss with all of you people here out on the call. How much do you consider restore as a part of the sum insured when you are advising, say, the best restoration option? Like, for example, the best restoration option today available is from, if I'm not wrong, two plans. One is from Max Bupa's Reassure plan, and there is another plan from Aditya Birla, which is, I think, called Active Health Premium. These are the two plans that offer the best restoration option. Now, when you recommend this plan, do you then look at that restoration benefit as a part of the cover, because it covers unrelated illnesses, it also covers things like partial exhaustion, or do you consider it as a bonus? That's what I wanted to talk about. Anybody who would like to share their thoughts on this, you're welcome to uh, raise your hands, and I can basically allow you to speak. So I'll repeat my question. My question is restoration a benefit that you factor in when you are deciding the cover that you want to, or recommending or advising on a cover that you want to give to a client, right? So is restoration actually one plus one, right? Is one. Manish Chauhan wants to speak. Thank you, Manish. I'll just allow you to speak. Yes, Manish. Hello, are you there, Manish? Let me try it again. Yeah,
Yeah,
you are. Yes. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So Mahavir,
Yes,
good
Manish.
question. So we never consider it as part of the sum assured. It's always considered as a bonus from our side for the simple reason that if you see it from the probability point of view, then the chances of it getting triggered itself is remote, right?
Right.
First of all, the principle of health insurance, like one point in health insurance is that the chances of getting someone hospitalized itself is low. We have
Right.
often seen people who have the policy from last 5 years and 10 years and they have never claimed anything. So first of all, the claim itself is going to happen very rarely. On top of it, again the same person or someone in the family again getting hospitalized in the same year, that again probability wise is very low. So for that simple reason we don't consider it as the part of sum assured. It's always considered as an extra thing which will get triggered only in case of some rare case. So it's always a bonus.
Right.
This is how we see it.
Okay, okay. So, my question to you is that, there are two aspects of when all of us basically advise customers. There are two aspects of the risk that we're trying to cover, right? Two aspects of risk would be, one is obviously the severity of the risk, and the
Correct.
second is basically the frequency of the risk, right? What you are basically saying is that the frequency of this
Yeah.
risk of there being a large hospitalization is very, very low. The
Correct.
severity obviously is very high, and
Yeah.
hence you are saying get covered by the adequate sum insured that you're anyways advising to your client.
That is first level. First of all, take
Correct.
the appropriate
Right.
cover, and restoration is obviously as a bonus, and that will always like we consider. I personally consider it as a bonus only if it is getting reinstated the moment anything is getting used. So if a policy of 10 lakh rupees, if 5 lakh or 6 lakh is getting exhausted, the same moment it should get reinstated. Otherwise, if it is going to reinstate only if the cover goes to zero, then again probability wise, frequency wise, it's
Correct.
never going to happen. It's like very very rare case.
But there are now policies that are available which also do partial exhaustion, right? Which allow you to also trigger for a second claim when there are partial exhaustion that happens, and the trigger could be also for a related illness. So
Okay.
in those
Okay.
kind of cases where
Yeah.
the insurer allows related illness also, and it
Okay.
also allows partial exhaustion,
Yeah. Yeah.
there are people who say this that भाई ये तो फिर 2x cover हो गया. In fact, there are insurers who have now started calling it 2x cover, 4x cover also, right?
And that technically is wrong, na? Because you will only use it only in your second time, not the first time, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
there is a, sorry, go ahead.
no, all I'm saying is that it's a very good bonus thing which may get triggered
Yeah,
someday in worst cases when you will love it at that moment. But otherwise, I don't see a very large section of people ever using it because I have personally never met anyone who has used it till date.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
right.
what I.
So correct, correct. So my views about that is that obviously because we are looking, most of our clients, and correct me if I'm wrong, I can be totally wrong, because most of the clients that we usually would be advising would be in their young age, and hence the current probability of them using a large sum insured is very, very low. But
Correct.
in the long run, when we are talking about, let's say, someone who's 30 years old today becoming 60 in the future, maybe
Yeah.
restoration can become important benefit at
Yeah.
that time.
Yes. Yes. Agree to that. Agree. After many years, when the sum assured is now small, then it will be true. Correct.
Okay. Right,
Yeah.
right, 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 right. Thank you, Manish. Any other thoughts that you have about restoration?
No, I
Hi,
think
Mahir.
the other thought. Hello, can I
Yeah.
just add one more point?
Yes, 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 Manish, please.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying that as you said in the start, also that restoration benefit is a good bonus point. It's not the core point. I mean,
Right.
there are many other things which I should be looking in the policy while I'm deciding if I want to take it. But because of the marketing or because of the advertisement, this whole feature is made so big that it doesn't. I mean, it's a good thing, but it doesn't deserve that much of attention compared to other many other points.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right. There are much more better core
yeah,
points that are there that people should look at. So there are
correct.
multiple insurers now that are completely marketing only on the restore
Yeah,
benefit, right? There are
yes,
the
yes,
top two
yes,
plans, if you look at it, that get marketed a lot. The Reassure plan is actually named Reassure, right? And then there
yeah,
is another plan which I think I think HDFC Ergo now has introduced, which is also
May-
talking purely about it being a 4x cover. Yeah. So you're
maybe
right, absolutely.
maybe
That's becoming the
you can compare it with the no claim bonus where there are some policies which says that no claim bonus will not come down first once it touches its limit, it will never
right,
come down.
right.
So compared to that, how do you see it? As you can maybe you can share from your side.
Yes, yes. So yeah, that's a superb question. I did not cover it in my points, but yeah, I think if I have to compare these two, my view is that the no claim bonus not going down definitely is better. I'll tell you
Yeah,
why. Because at any time if restoration is triggered, it
yeah.
every claim will not pay you more than the base sum insured. So the base sum insured cannot get crossed for a single claim. If that happens and you have a hospitalization which is a very large hospitalization, like
Hmm.
these hospitalizations, obviously we are talking not about the 1 crore hospitalization that has got recently came in the news, but even if it's a very large hospitalization, like say 20 lakh, 30 lakh, you are not going to be able to use that with
Hmm.
restoration, but you will be able to use it with the no claim bonus. So
Yeah. So
yes,
so that no claim bonus not coming down, that actually is 1+1 kind of, like that in reality is kind of 1+1
yes, absolutely,
in a way.
absolutely.
In a way. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I think,
That's all. That's
uh,
all.
yep. I think, Satish, you wanted to speak. Do you want to speak or should I take Srikant?
Yes, uh,
Yes, Satish.
thank you for permitting me to talk here. Uh, I just want to add on what Manish was saying. Yes, the plans which are with unlimited reinstatement are much better. And I just wanted to add, since you brought in the point of Max Bupa using a marketing strategy to pitch this plan, I just
Hmm.
want to share one of the presentations that was available in public domain from Max Bupa, wherein
Right.
when they did that annual celebration for the Reassure plan, they released one PPT wherein they said they have got cases wherein people have claimed restore benefit for already 10 occasions within span of 7 to 8 months. Okay.
Wow.
So in this case, what has happened? What they are saying is there was a case from Hyderabad wherein the base sum issued was 10 lakhs, and it was a floater cover. The spouse got diagnosed for breast cancer, and the first hospitalization was about 4.3 lakhs. And since January up till July 2021, they have had n number of hospitalizations, repeated hospitalizations, with a cover of 10 lakhs base sum assured. The company says they have paid claims up to 41 lakhs as there is unlimited reinstatement. This is
Wow. Wow.
very good. But what is the main thing we need to worry about today is, irrespective of the reassure or restore benefit, we need to look at a pretty decent cover, at least 10
Hmm.
to 15 lakhs. That's what we need to look at. If the suppose the same policy had been taken for 3 lakhs sum assured, uh, it wouldn't have benefited at all. So my concern I wanted to add today is, go for a higher sum assured, which will take care of you even 10, 15 years down the line. And on top of that, one more info I wanted to share. The company says they have sold about 2.2 lakh policies over the last 1 year, and
Hmm.
they have just about 33 cases wherein they have paid reinstatement claims. So if you look at the percentage, it's just
Hmm.
about 0.01.
Right.
The
Right.
company is doing it at USP, but actually the possibility or the probability of having such claims is almost next to nothing. And this is
Yeah.
one of
Correct.
situations 40 lakhs was claimed.
Satish, one
Makes sense.
Satish, Manish here. One point I want to make here is that exactly what we were talking about, right? That this is one outlier case which happens in, out of one
Yes.
lakh or 2 lakh cases, one single case which the company is using for marketing purpose. It's like, the company gets a very very good testimonial once in a while, once in lifetime, and then all the time you are highlighting that some very good testimonial. It's exactly like that. So yeah, if someone is very unlucky and they get into a situation where they have to hospitalize multiple times, it will be useful, but yeah, then the probability wise it's very very rare.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it covers the severity part, right? When we discuss risk, there are two parts, right? Frequency and severity. I think it covers the severity part. We need to educate our customers about the
Correct.
fact that there is a severity issue, like these 1 crore wala thing has really, I am like, it's top of my mind. And there is someone who asked me this question on Twitter, that what do you do when this kind of things happen? And I honestly don't have an answer. Looking at inflation, how it's going up. Let's say today there are 1 crore covers available, but let's say we are talking about 10 years, 20 years down the line, what is the kind of cover that you need to now recommend clients if you're not recommending 1 crore, 2 crore also, right? So that's something which is super interesting. The severity part, the frequency part, obviously, I agree with you, Satish and Manish, that from a frequency point of view, it's super clear that this is not something that is going to happen a lot, and that's also factored in the premiums. If you see, it's not like very expensive if you compare restore versus non-restore. In fact, the best of the restore plans today are charging, let's say, 10% higher premium to the plans which were traditionally offering the old restore, which is like it does not offer partial, does not offer related today, right? So the frequency is always factored in the price. The severity is what I think is something which is right now low, right now not happening. The frequency is right now low. Severity is
Hmm.
something that nobody knows when it can happen. Yeah,
Correct. Correct.
yeah.
Yeah. Can I say
So
something, Mahavi? Deepak here.
yes, yes, Deepak, please, please.
So let's go back into history. You said that his restore was started by Apollo in 2012. What was the purpose of starting this restore option? Clearly, that restore was actually useless. I'm yet to meet somebody who actually used that restore option with all the terms and conditions it had.
Correct,
However,
correct.
it gave Apollo a selling point saying that, my sum insured will actually go up if you make a claim without you having to pay double the premium, right? That is the whole
Hmm,
point of restore.
correct,
If I'm buying a 5 lakh rupee sum insured policy, I'm expecting that if my expenses are 10, the restore will kick in and I will get double, right?
correct.
Now, in those days, how are premiums underwritten and how are premiums being underwritten now? I'm not too sure a lot of people know about this. But in
Hmm,
the early days, if you had a 5 lakh policy and let's say your premium was 20,000, if you wanted a 10 lakh policy, you actually had to pay 40,000 double. That is how the underwriting used to happen in those days. Now, go to any company and buy a 5 lakh rupees sum insured. If your premium is 20,000, for a 10 lakh, you'll probably pay 25,000.
correct.
It is not proportionately double. So, what Restore did is it immediately effectively gave out this communication to policyholders that I have reduced your premium by half by giving you
Hmm,
double the cover. Okay. Now, let's come to this case where Manish and even Satish both were explaining that these are outliers. The insurance concept itself is outlier, isn't it? Why do you take insurance? You take insurance for the probability that you may get hospitalized and then you will need cover. So health insurance itself is an outlier. Manish said that there are people who have paid premiums for 8, 8, 10, 10 years. I have clients who have 30 plus year policies and they haven't claimed in all those 30 years.
correct.
And now when there is a claim, they tell me that, I have paid premium for 30 years. No, that is not the way to look at health insurance. This is not life insurance. Health insurance is a 1 year contract. It's a 1 year policy. You pay a premium. If something happened to you in that year, company is going to pay. That no claim bonus is just a continuity benefit that you are continuing with our company. That is why I'm giving a no claim bonus. So you don't have to calculate that this is a 8 year policy, this is a 10 year policy. This is a 1 year policy. Okay. Now I am paying 2%, 3%, 5% of the sum insured, whatever, as a benefit or to take care of the probability that I may get hospitalized. Will I get hospitalized and will there be an expense of 1 crore? I don't know. But if I am factoring in that, if I am on the lookout for policies, I have now checked 5 policies in which all my boxes have been ticked. Yes, this policy gives me cover at a reasonable price. Yes, there is cashless. Yes, there is a claim settlement ratio is good. And if that policy also gives me a restore, I will definitely take that policy. If it does not have a restore benefit, I would then go to the company which gives me the restore benefit. If for the same price or even at a 10% higher price, if I am getting a restore and the Max Bupa restore, so let me clarify here. I am an advisor for Max Bupa. I know how the policy works. Satish has explained that, out of the 10 lakhs, 40 lakhs was paid. That is the way the product was designed. It is designed to keep on paying you as long as that 1 year does not end, right? Now they have introduced the policy at a very, very reasonable rate. Sometimes aisa lagta hai ki it is too good to be true for what they are offering for the premium and all the benefits this has. It's a new product. It was launched 1 year ago. 3 years later, take my word for it, if we are there on this call again and all of us are there, the premiums would have easily doubled, easily. Because there will be a claim settlement ratio which will be considered. They will say we have received so many premiums, so many claims, and then we are revising. If you are there in the market, clearly, if you are offering a product, you have to offer a product which is better than the previous guy who came out with a restore with whatever benefits it has. This is probably the top of the line restore policy. I'm not too sure whether anything more can be added in this policy. It's saying you buy a 10 lakh rupee policy from me and I will keep on giving you unlimited restorations till the next year's renewal. How can you better this? I don't know there is any way if any other company can better this. They can only give a policy with something which is as similar to this. So if I was a client, one, I would go in for a policy which has a restore benefit and the top of the line restore benefit. I don't want a restore benefit with terms and conditions. My views.
Right, right, Deepak. So I'll just share my views about whatever you mentioned. The first point that you mentioned was around 2x premium. Insurers used to first charge 2x premiums for, let's say, a 10 lakh cover over a 5 lakh cover. Now they don't charge that. I think that is clearly the same discussion that we were having about severity and the frequency. The chances of a 10 lakh claim coming is quite low, and insurers have now started factoring that, and it's a race because there's a price race also that is going on. Insurers are very clear that today they need to win the customer at a lower premium, and they have the choice of increasing premiums whenever they want later. And that's a very important point that we should cover on the call today about what is going to happen in the future when such kind of too good to be true policies are issued. And that's a point that you also made. The point that you mentioned about, 8 year policy, 10 year policy, and customers, looking at it that I've not claimed for more than 10 years. My views about that is, uh, you know, uh, the regular customer is bound to do some kind of math, right? And it's just that it is purely kind of natural and human for people to do that. I completely agree that we should educate people about it, but this is a person who has gone ahead and bought a health insurance policy, so he's much more evolved than people who have not bought a health insurance policy. uh, I've seen people using this math actually to buy a health insurance, saying that यार मैं 25,000 रुपए भी साल का भरूंगा and I pay so many years, even if I have one claim, it will help me, cover my costs. And I am like kind of neutral about this view of, using the math or not, because it is actually a dummy's way of explaining a product like health insurance, right? I know there are a lot of cons to doing this because people can give up saying that itna saal ho gaya, I have not claimed, not claimed. I agree with you saying that it is a life insurance, but somehow the psyche of the customer is super difficult to change on a mass level. So using math and someone using math and finally buying health insurance versus not buying health insurance, I would use the math. Is my view. It is a very objective view, but yeah, I agree with you. The last thing that you mentioned is that in Max Bupa offering or any other of these plans, there is one more plan. I think Aditya Birla is also offering this now, where it's offering for unrelated and it's offering for unlimited hospitalizations, and it is offering for partial exhaustion also. The only catch in this that people should know, and I'm going to repeat it multiple times because people should know this, and I've learned this, and I think this is a very important point to know, is that per claim, your sum insured cap is going to be the base sum insured. The per claim cap, I'll repeat it, the per claim cap will be the base sum insured or the base sum insured plus NCB. You will not be able to like claim beyond that. So the example that Satish gave, actually, if you see that example, and I'll share that if everybody is okay with it, I'll share that slide on the channel or to people who will DM me separately, I'll share it with them. It basically shows all the claims are less than 5 lakh rupees, right? And
Yes.
hence, only those cases it will get triggered. That's something that we need to ensure that the client is aware, right? So that's my submission. I'll take the next question. Sorry, Deepak, you have something to say?
No, no, no. My point is, I agree with you completely. There is no point in taking a 2 lakh or a 3 lakh or a 5 lakh policy with restore. It needs to be a large enough policy, sum insured, so that when the restore gets factored in, you can utilize it fully. There is no
Yeah.
point. Point taken. If somebody is there in a village and he's there in a small government hospital जहाँ उसका bill 2,000 3,000 5,000 25,000 आता है, that it makes sense. But clearly we are talking about urban and mega cities and 2, 3, 5 lakh rupees, as you pointed out. All those
Yeah.
claims were lower than the sum insured. That is why they were paid out. So point taken. Well said. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Avinash, I'm going to take you on the speaker side. Avinash, you have.
Yeah. Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, we are able to hear you.
Okay. So, I was lucky, although my customers were not, but I witnessed two
Your
claims
voice,
which,
yeah. Sorry, I'm cutting you there, Avinash, but your voice is slightly kind of jarring, meaning maybe you want to keep your mouth a little away from the headphone. Hello? Are you there, Avinash? Hello?
uh, yeah, hello, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we are able to hear it. Slightly jarring. Your voice is slightly jarring. LK, I'm going to take you next, so please hold on. Yeah.
Okay, so what I was saying is, in this last year itself, I witnessed two of my customers using the restoration benefit, although one is still pending because of some terms and conditions where the limit of coverage or the base sum assured calculation uh, is wrong by the insurer as per their policy wordings itself, and it is in the IRDA grievance cell now. Um, and the other restoration, other company which is HDFC Ergo, they have honored the restoration, but they also made a mistake that during the cashless they did not consider the restoration sum assured. So in both the cases, to get the restoration sum assured honored, there is a struggle, although sometimes it may be technical, and unfortunately both the cases are cancer related. So one thing to note is, especially for recurrent diseases or where treatment is kind of recurring, like in example cancer or renal function, restoration I think would most probably be triggered only in these kind of scenarios. Uh, if he is like an
Right.
individual person. So yeah, I did say its usage. So it's not, although it's very rare, and like everyone said, it is a trick to use it as a marketing gimmick so that people buy their policy saying, okay, I have 2x coverage. But the last point you mentioned, which is what I see some of the advisors who are like not very aware. They say that okay, we have to X coverage, but they don't mention the point that per claim you cannot claim more than the base sum assured. So
Yeah.
that is like a very important, and bold, it should be written in bold and dark, saying that okay, this is the first point. There is nothing like you have double coverage.
Right, right, right. Yeah, so I'll just repeat whatever you said because I think that there will be people who would have kind of found it difficult to. So I'll just repeat. What basically Avinash is saying is that he has had two claims in the last year where restoration benefit was triggered. So in a way, it basically talks about people who are right now using restoration benefit. While we were saying that the frequency is low, it's completely agreed, but there are people who are currently triggering restoration benefit even today. Maybe the sum insured is low, or maybe it's because there is a critical illness, like what Avinash has mentioned. The point here also that he made is that both these claims he has had extremely difficult time to be able to get the restoration part of the benefit recovered from the insurer. The first one he's talking about, that cashless claim, where the insurer did not consider the restoration benefit in approving the cashless when the person or the patient was in the hospital. The other one is in grievance. So yeah, so there is a thing about knowing in this part. What Avinash mentioned is that you can there are people who are able to use restoration benefit, but right now maybe because the knowledge of the people who are managing claims is lower, or for whatever reason restoration claims are very low, hence there is a lot of problems that he is experienced in actually being able to claim for them, and it's not smooth as it sounds. Yeah. Yeah, LK, you wanted to ask a question. Would you want to, should I allow you to speak? And Nikhil, I'll take you next, Nikhil Kataria. LK, are you there? Okay. I'll take you next, LK. Then
No,
I'll.
so I'm there.
Yeah, no problem. So
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, sir, I want to add something like, for example, after listening to so many speakers and after experiencing this, so I think it's this particular feature is more of a mirage. It's an optical illusion. So you believe that it exists as an advisor. You believe that this restore benefit exists, but it does not. As a customer you believe it exists but it does not. So for example, it will also discourage people. For example, someone has taken a base sum assured of 5 lakhs, he want to
right.
increase that 10 lakh. Due to this marketing gimmick, he will not it will discourage him to take a base sum assured of 10 lakh, because he is thinking that I will get unlimited claims due to this restore
Hmm.
benefits, but he does not know that it's up to basic sum assured. Even in case of critical illness there is a limit, and most of the time you will use this restore benefit in case of like critical illness. So I think
Right.
it's more of a mirage, optical illusion. You think it exists but it does not exist.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
So I know what
I
you're
totally
saying.
disagree. I totally disagree with what LK
Right.
is saying. He's probably not been part of the chat from the beginning, or if he has been part of the chat, then he hasn't probably understood what is going on. It's not a mirage. It You can call it an outlier, what Manish said, but it is a benefit. The benefit can only be claimed when you know the terms and condition. If it has been missold to you by an advisor, that is his
Mhm.
problem. If he hasn't been trained by the company on how to sell it, that is the company and the company's trainer's problem. It is actually a very, very good option to have in your policy. Don't say it's a mirage. You are talking and listening to people who have actually claimed that it has not been paid and it is in dispute is another thing altogether. It is there, it is
Yep.
available, utilize it, don't dismiss it.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
like I said,
Yeah,
LK, the start of the discussion is that, the usefulness of this benefit is in a degree of certain conditions, like what Deepak said, certain conditions that exist in that restoration benefit. So, understanding those conditions and choosing the right restoration option for your client is super important.
Mhm.
Only then it will not be an optical illusion, like you said. If we don't read those conditions and just go ahead and look at all restoration options available in the market as same or as commodities and not understand the conditions, then I totally
So,
agree with you that it is an optical illusion. So there will be conditions. Sorry, I'm taking one more half a minute more. There will be conditions for every benefit that exists, LK, in the policy. It's
mhm.
about understanding those conditions is what Deepak is trying to say.
So I want
Mahavir,
to add
one more.
one more point. I want to add one more point.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, LK.
Yeah, sir. So as sir told that it's a problem of advisor or customer who is not advising properly. Sir, just want to add one point. So not many people are as knowledgeable as you are. So maybe they don't know or they are not well communicated about that particular benefit.
You
So
are
I
talking about
think there is.
advisor or customer? Sorry, when
So
you said they
I'm
are not.
talking about both.
Uh,
I'm talking about both. For example, an advisor
okay,
has not communicated to customer, so I think customer will also not know. And I think it's a very good marketing gimmick, and mis-selling will also happen. And as Sir
correct.
said that in a span of 2 or 3 years, they will like increase premium. For example, they are providing this benefit at a very low cost now, and after some time, after 1 year, 2 year, they will say that we have so many policies sold, so many claims came. That's why we are revising our premium structure. So it will happen.
Right. Yes, okay. So, Manish, you wanted to answer?
No, 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 no. I was just making a point. I agree with Deepak what he said that obviously it's
Yeah,
a benefit which you will get if the situation arises. The only thing is that the probability is less, and this whole restoration benefit is kind of emergency fund within the health insurance. That is only in the
yeah,
worst case when that situation arises it will trigger. So insurance within the insurance. This is how I look at it, and
right.
I think LK when he said mirage, I don't think he literally means it. He is also
Yep,
making the same statement which we all are saying that the this is how people look at it. Like this is how the reality
Yeah.
is that, for a lot of people it exists, but they will never be able to use it, either because they don't know how to do it or because of the terms and conditions. So I think this is what he was meaning.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
No, no. Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
sir. I was saying the same thing. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So one more point that you made, which was actually a point that I somehow agree with, and it's a very, very good point, is where you
Yeah,
mentioned that people could actually look at this
correct.
as a part of the cover and then take inadequate sum insureds,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yes,
That
yes,
point is an excellent point. I would totally agree with you that people who are not sold this properly, this can be missold very easily, and it can be prone to misselling
yes,
very easily. But we are talking about right now people on the call who are advisors who are trying to learn this so that there is no misselling that happens, right? So
yeah.
from that point of view, there are good things about Restore that customer should know, and there are conditions that a customer should also know, and we should give that whole solution to the customer and whole advice and whole information to the customer is what we are trying to talk about here.
Just
In
I
wanting to
mean,
know the background of LK. Is he an advisor? I mean, just wanted to
yes.
know that.
Yes, sir. I'm an advisor. I'm also a fellow
How
of
old are you,
Insurance
LK?
Institute of. Yes, sir.
How old are you, LK? How old are
Sir,
you?
10 years plus 10 plus years.
You are 10 plus years in the industry. Okay. So,
Yes,
see, when you call yourself an advisor, no, it is your duty
yes.
to advise your client. You give
Okay.
him all the options. Finally, he is the decision maker. I can't put a
Mhm.
gun to his hand and tell him, see, ये restore वाला है, ये लियो, या ये नहीं लियो. As an advisor, I advise my client. He decides. Even after
Mhm.
knowing that मैं ये 5 लाख रुपए लेने वाला हूँ instead of 10 lakh rupees, that is finally his decision. He cannot
Mhm.
come back to you crying कि तुमने हमको ये नहीं बताया था. अगर नहीं बताया था, that is your problem. If you explain to him everything, then your duty is done. If he buys less insurance, that is not mis-selling. That is mis-buying. That is the problem of the customer. Somehow, this word mis-selling, especially in the industry, in the insurance industry, has become fashionable.
Yeah,
Fashionable, really fashionable. It is mis-buying. If you are a good advisor, there will never be mis-selling.
yeah. Behind every mis-selling, there is also mis-buying. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Nikhil, you
Okay.
had a question. Nikhil, you want to come up and talk? Nikhil Kataria. Anybody else? I think
Hello.
Shrikant also
Am
had
I
a.
audible?
Yes, Nikhil. Yes, Nikhil. Welcome to the call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm audible. Hi. So I had just one point. So like you said, the most important point to convey to the customer during restoration is for him for to convey that consider the base sum insured as the max sum insured per claim. So this is something that should be conveyed at first. If we
Yep.
convey this, there are many benefits which are there. So for example, if you are trying to contemplate whether to buy a floater policy or an individual policy, so
Right.
floater policies tend to be a bit cheaper, but we opt for or we suggest for individual policies so that the entire sum insured is not taken away by one person itself, and the other claims are not rejected or you don't have the sum insured for it. So in
Yeah.
such
Yeah.
a case, like while contemplating whether there is to buy a floater or individual, the restoration benefit is one of the biggest point which you can also add up, which kind of makes a floater policy as an individual policy itself, barring some points. I think even in Max Bupa, pre hospitalization and post hospitalization benefit is not covered under the restoration fine print. Like you just said, like daycare and
Yeah.
inpatient are covered, but pre and
Correct.
post hospitalization are not covered. So, but those points can be taken into consideration. And there are many people who come with a notion that I can pay a premium of say 25,000 for covering a family of three. Let me know what is the best policy. So in that case is when some people come with a preconceived premium or a limit. So in that case is like features like bonuses which do not get reduced or features like restoration, that comes quite handy rather than buying a 10 lakh floater without having the restoration benefit as good as Max Bupa for a similar premium. It's better to go on for a policy like a Max Bupa so that a
Right.
person is ideally he's in the mind the single claim can not be more than 10 lakhs, but at the same time if there are multiple claims
Correct.
in a year for less than 10 lakhs, the entire family would be covered for that, which gives a lot of peace of mind to many people.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So I
Right.
would say that restoration benefit is not like a small benefit or just an add-on or just think of it as an backup which is there, it is a quite an important feature for people to make decisions as well if the conditions are as good as Max Bupa.
Makes sense. Yeah. Anybody wants to comment on this? Manish, Deepak, Avinash. Yeah. So my views, Nikhil, the way I look at it is what I'll tell you. When I would recommend anybody to buy a restore benefit, sorry, a family floater, my view is that there are people who would say that, let's say, individual cover अगर आपको लेना है तो you take 10 lakhs, but if you are taking a floater, then buy 15 lakhs, right? In that specific case, a restore will be very very useful. But if you look at it, if I am someone who's recommending, I would not recommend someone to buy. And obviously, this is not today's discussion, but I'm just sharing this with you because we are right now talking about it. Is that typically, if I think the individual cover that a person should have is 10 lakhs and there are two adults in the plan policy, I typically would recommend that they buy a 2x cover for two adults, which is 20 lakhs as floater. If you do that, what happens is that both the problems are solved. You have an individual cover of 10 lakhs in the overall kitty, plus you have a 20 lakh floater pool which is available to both of these people, right? So when you do that, in that case, the flaw that you just mentioned about individual cover being having an insulation over someone who buys a floater because one person can eat up the entire cover, that part can be taken care of by ensuring that each of these members have a X cover plus X cover multiplied by 2, multiplied by 2, multiplied by 3, depending on the number of adults you have, right? Over and above that, restore benefit is something that is useful, is my.
But this would make the premium a bit more higher. And if we consider people with not having much issue about the premium and deciding the maximum or the best cover
Yeah,
for them, then I would say that your point is perfectly valid
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
everyone should do that. Yeah.
Correct, correct. No, no, I obviously took the assumption that the person does not have constraints in buying a higher premium. Also, the fact that the difference between buying 15 lakhs and 20 lakhs, the delta of the premium is not very high. Typically not very high. Srikant, I'm going to
And
take you next. Yeah, sorry, Nikhil, you can.
yeah, so like if we like what I was considering is to have a family floater of a 10 lakh rather than having a individual 10 lakh each and not even 15 like in case of
Oh,
restoration
okay.
benefit is available because since
Okay.
practically you are trying to cover if your decision is to buy 10 lakh individual each, so you are trying to cover an hospitalization for each person of 10 lakh rupees. So in case you take a family floater with the best restoration policy, you are doing that practically, and you don't. That is what your need is. Or let's take it as an example of 20 lakh each. If you are trying to buy a 20 lakh each individual policy, rather buy a 20 lakh family floater with a restoration benefit like Max Bupa.
Right. The fact of the matter is that you are assuming in this, and correct me if I'm wrong, you are assuming that there will be only one hospitalization in a year, and that will be basically what is that in the long run. Let's say even after 10 years, 20 years, there will be only one hospitalization, and the maximum bill that will come is the sum insured that you are suggesting to the client. If there are two
Right.
hospitalizations that happen, like for example, in the COVID times, there have been people who've, let's say,
Hmm.
assumed that they will need 5 lakhs of cover for one hospitalization that happens in the year. Let's say if there are multiple hospitalizations that happen in that year, then the assumption that you're making could actually take a hit, is my view.
But in multiple hospitalization also the restoration is unlimited, so that would also come use at that time as well.
Yeah, so you are basically saying that you will factor the restoration and also when you are calculating the sum insured. That's not the view that a couple of us have. But yeah, we could, what you are basically saying, and this is a question that I had asked, I think the first question that we discussed is that do you factor restoration sum insured as a part of the cover when you are deciding the cover for your long term? The problem with that is there are two problems, right? Like you mentioned, that per claim, when you take a restoration, the per claim limit is going to be the base sum insured. So let's say in 20 years from now, if when health insurance inflation is anyways zooming, right? And your per
Hmm.
claim amount goes up, right? And let's say you've recommended a 10 lakh cover for two people who are two adults, and the per claim amount goes above 10 lakhs. In the policy where the person has taken 10 lakhs, the restore is not going to happen.
Right,
Let's say,
right, right.
right. So that if you take into consideration, then your sum insured calculation may have to factor beyond the restoration benefit. Right. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, so like what I am trying to say is once we decide like the what's the ideal some base sum insured, say for example, it is 20 lakh per person. So if someone is going for a 20 lakh two individual policies, so they are covering themselves for 20 lakh individually. So rather they can buy a 20 lakh floater because in 20 lakh floater, I wouldn't say that they are covered for 10 lakh each. They are covered for a single 20 lakh claim and the restoration benefit whenever it kicks in, it will kick in for a 20 lakh. So practically again, if they buy two individual claims, they are covered for a single claim of 20 lakhs each. And even if they buy a claim floater policy with a max bupa restoration benefit, then also even if there is an eight, there are 318 lakhs claims, then also it gets practically the same. The scenario would be same, just that pre-hospitalization and post-hospitalization won't be covered.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take this offline. I think I got your point. I
Sure,
think this is something which is kind of we have other people also on the call. I know what you're
sure,
saying,
sure,
but
sure.
I still have a obviously have a difference of opinion. If
Okay,
if
okay,
we
no
have more
worries. Yeah,
time, I will take your question also. But yeah, good points,
sure.
Nikhil. Thank you for sharing your views.
Can I
Super
say something on this
useful.
point? Mahavir.
Yeah, Deepak.
Okay, what is getting missed out over here is we are talking about the sum insured and the restore, and this topic cannot be complete without the NCB also over here, because there is an NCB part also in your policy, and I am assuming your policy is 2 or 3 years old at least, right? So this particular variant of Max Bupa's policy, which is the Reassure, it has a 50% NCB. So in 2 years, if you've taken a 10 lakh policy, your sum insured has actually gone to 20 lakhs. The restore will continue to remain 10, but now your sum insured is now 20. So you have to factor in all these three things before standalone deciding whether sum insured plus restore बेचना चाहिए कि नहीं, या should I factor in this or not. There are other features in the policy which also are at work. There is one more thing which I normally advise my clients, and that would probably take care of the question which you asked, Mahavir. Ki when you are planning, let's say a small policy now with restore benefit, but even if it is unlimited, a few years down the line, it is actually may not going to be enough. I normally tell most of my clients every 2 or 3 years to bump up their sum insured. If it is five, no, move to 6 or 7. If it has come to 7, go to 8 or 9 or maybe even 10, despite the NCB. That will then, take care of that problem which you were just now telling.
Yep, got it, Deepak. The only problem with that is that you are in this. The assumption is that the insurer will be willing to upgrade the sum insured when required, and there are no claims.
Point taken. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think there was someone else. I think Sabnekar, Mr. Sabnekar, you wanted to ask a question. Are you there?
Hi, Mahavir. Hi.
Yeah, hi, Shrikant.
Yeah, just wanted to add. Actually, I agree with Deepak ji and other panelists. Like, we cannot actually belittle the significance of restore, and especially during pandemic times when we are actually first time. I think in the last year, 6 years, I have seen multiple hospitalizations in the same family. Okay, so this I have not seen before. This is the first time that I have come across where a father is hospitalized, mother is hospitalized, son is hospitalized, all within the same year.
Yeah,
So restoration is definitely a plus. If I have to advise someone, a plan with restore benefit and between a plan with restore and a plan without restore, definitely I'll go and advise a person with a plan which is exhaustive as it can be with restore benefit. Okay, that's point number
right.
one. But here, my concern is about some plans, specifically plans like Reassure, which I believe today are kind of giving invitation pricing. I would, if I can call it. What if, as Deepak sir pointed, see next 2 years, 3 years, definitely claims will click in, and definitely they will be above the industry average in terms of the per average claim in terms of per policy or per whatever metrics they would have. What if
Mhm.
the premiums go beyond the roof? How will we
Yeah,
sustain
yeah,
the policies? How will we sustain the client? Will the customers actually be able to kind of afford that kind of premiums? And given a situation where some people are actually locked in because of
yep.
their critical illness claims, so that's the larger question to my mind. I would rather look at a kind of policy which is reasonable enough, and definitely today it is not an invitation pricing kind of thing. Or
Yeah,
actually we can actually look at their past history in terms of how they have kind of revised their premiums often.
right, right. Yeah, Shrikant. So this is obviously a very big concern of the concern of insurers being allowed to change their pricing every year, right? As per health insurance regulations, once a product is 3 year old, insurers can go and talk to IRD and get their prices changed every year, and there is no limit to what they can change their prices. And this is all we have seen in the last 2 3 years is that there have been people who have been suddenly asked to pay 3x premium, 4x premium. That is a very big concern. We tried to cover it in an article that we wrote on our website. Is that is there a need for a separate healthcare fund also that you need to manage beyond health insurances? Because if hospitalization costs keep increasing, if there is no regulation that is there for hospitalization in the future, like it is not there today, and health insurance companies, because they will protect their own profitabilities, will keep increasing prices, where will the
Mhm.
customers go? Today, 3 4% is the premium that people are paying, like what Deepak had mentioned. Senior citizens are Some of the senior citizens are right now paying 15, 20, 25% premium, and some of them have actually started ridiculing whether whether it's even useful to continue paying and should I drop off. And there are senior citizens, I know, because we are on our forum and on our Twitter channel, I've seen that happening. The people are dropping off. So that is a separate concern, and I think you've rightly mentioned that it's a larger topic. Maybe we'll do a separate webinar for that, or a separate discussion for that. But yeah, thank you for bringing that point up. Yep.
I can tell you, Mahavir, in the last 8 or 10 months, I've lost at least 12 senior citizen families who have
Oh my
decided
God.
they are unable to afford the premium increases which have happened. And I mean, even though this is not the topic, I'll just take a minute. The
Yep.
feeling one gets it, the pricing of the insurance premium, especially in the health insurance side, has been reduced in the younger age to a ridiculously low extent at the cost
Yeah.
of the higher age people. There will be a time, and I don't know whether it is by design or by purpose, but it seems that these people are being forcibly driven to go out. We know that we will not be able to afford your hospitalizations
Yeah.
at these age,
Yeah.
so I will make your premium so high that you will yourself decide to not renew the policy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that is very good point, and the thing is that they are making the premiums very cheap for young people because they know that only after 20, 30 years that situation will come. They will become senior citizen again. Will increase the premium. This is what I get the feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, it's actually a very big concern, actually, super big concern, because while we are advising people to buy insurance today, when they will have the real need to keep the insurance is when the premiums will become unaffordable, and then there is a very big concern. I think I have questioned myself multiple times on this when I see premiums rising. Like I have a policy personally myself where I'm paying almost 70,000 rupees premium for a 2 lakh individual cover for my senior citizen parents. And every time there is a renewal, so I am obviously paying the premium. My parents keep asking me the question that, yeah, is this really worth it, right? Is this really something that we should pay? It's super expensive. Yeah, and there will be drop-offs, and very sad to hear, Deepak, that there are 10 to 12 families, senior citizen families, who have dropped off, which actually represents a very, very big number of senior citizens who have dropped off on an overall basis, if that's something
And
that can be a
I mean
representation.
the bigger problem is that the person who is thinking of getting dropped off, like in your case and even in
Yeah.
my case, my father-in-law, the problem is that after 5 years if you drop off, you will regret even more कि भाई 5 साल पहले ही निकल जाता, अभी निकलने का क्या मतलब.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to add one thing.
Yes, LK.
Yeah, yeah. So, sir, as we have
Sorry, we can't hear you. We could hear you, and then I think there's something wrong. Are you speaking? There is something wrong, LK. Okay, meanwhile, my only request to everybody on the call, if this is something that was really helpful for any of you, I would request please share it with other advisor communities, groups that you know. We would love more advisors, more people to benefit from this. This is a free service. Also, if you
like
want to get onboarded, please get onboarded on our platform. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, LK.
yeah, yeah. So I'm just saying that we should not discuss about brands like what particular like Max is offering that. I think we are discussing a topic. We should discuss it compassionately, like irrespective of what it is giving or what it's not giving. So I think we should not discuss about brands like because it's very we are saying that we will provide unbiased advice. How it is unbiased when we are discussing about a particular brand and like continuously speaking about that? So how it is unbiased, I don't know.
Sorry,
LK,
LK, nobody is promoting the Max Bupa brand because
of course not.
within the restore option, this was a policy which is available today. The discussion moved around saying that within the restore features, this is a good policy. Nobody in capital letters is recommending or promoting any other brand over here.
Absolutely. And we will have
Yeah.
to give examples for people to be able to understand things well. And we will have to talk about brands. I know what you're talking about, LTA, and you should go through
Yeah.
our website to know how much we're concerned about this and how much importance we give to what you just mentioned. But
Yes.
it is with a lot of thoughtfulness that we are actually taking names of brands and being very conscious about it, purely from a point of view of ensuring that people on the call get examples and scenarios so that they can understand the concepts well, right? There is no
Yeah.
promotion. There is no linkage of any of us, including Beshak, to any insurers, please. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
In
Yeah.
your opening remarks, Mahavir, you said that my team will share with you one or two examples when you were sharing the restore. I mean, offhand, do you remember or are you sharing it now? The terms and
You're
conditions?
talking. Yeah, yeah, I did mention those conditions. So, like I mentioned that there are certain. I did not mention the names of the plans. So, there is a plan from IFCO Tokyo, which basically most of the IFCO Tokyo plans, the health protector plans, they have a condition where restoration is not applicable for critical illness. That's one of the things that I wanted to mention. They also charge proportionately whenever reinstatement of sum assured happens. So that's one thing.
So when you say charge, is it equal to the premium which you paid for the sum insured? Is it like that?
Proportionate. Yeah, yeah. So next year, basically, wherever you use reinstate, any person, there is a trigger of a reinstatement of some insured. Whatever is the reinstatement that has happened, you'll have to pay proportionate premium for that reinstatement.
Okay. Actually, this actually makes a lot of sense for the long-term health of the company. I
Yep.
would actually
Yep.
agree to
Yep.
this. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
If it is factored as a discount and it is cheaper than a plan which does not offer, which offers restore but does not charge that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, meaning yeah. But I know
Mahavir,
what you're saying. Absolutely, I agree with you.
Mahavir, one question. If we
Yep.
take example of care health insurance, which I personally have, I can see that
Right.
the restoration benefit is old type. Like it is not for,
Yes.
it is only for
Yes.
unrelated and that kind of thing. So what is
One
stopping the
time.
company to, what is stopping company to revise the policy and upgrade that thing to be on par with the other policies and increase the premium a
Yeah.
little? Can't the
Uh,
company do that, or they do
yeah.
deliberately don't want to do?
No, so it's actually going to be, we'll understand this only in hindsight, actually, Manish, meaning in terms of what Deepak mentioned that this is a too good to be a benefit, what other companies are offering, Max Pupas of the world and Aditya Birlas of the world. It's actually
Hmm.
something that we'll know only in hindsight whether this is actually going to lead to a very, very high premium in the future or will lead
Okay.
to a lot of claims and hence a lot of high premiums in the future. Right now, like someone else said, I think it's an invitation price. We can
Hmm.
actually look at it as an invitation price, but long run, an insurance company which is offering a restore benefit like a Max Bupa or an Aditya Birla versus someone like Care or anybody which is offering a little lesser benefit or a lesser conditions or
Ah,
inferior, if you could, I could use the word.
ah, ah.
Premiums, how it will pan out in the future is something that we currently don't know because of the
Got it.
invitation price thing that a good terminology that I learned today.
Yeah. I think makes sense. Makes sense. ठीक है.
Because
Yeah.
ऐसा हो सकता है कि maybe there are some insurers who want to wait and watch and see how claims pan out for these kind of
Wha-
too good to be true
This is,
conditions and then maybe take a call. Yeah. Yeah,
and
Deepak, you want to say something? Yeah, Manish. Yeah, Manish.
one point is, this is something which the investors needs to be educated, क्योंकि क्या होता है ना, ये कुछ एक भी पॉइंट अगर थोड़ा सा भी अच्छा लगा ना इन्वेस्टर को, तुरंत पोर्ट करने निकल जाता है, भाई ये बदल देना है मुझे तुरंत। वो रुकता नहीं है समझने के लिए कि भाई चलेगा, ये भी चल जाएगा।
हाँ, वेरी वेरी गुड पॉइंट। या आई एग्री विथ यू। या मतलब कि इसमें मिल रहा है, इसमें नहीं मिल रहा है तो मूव कर दो।
हाँ, हाँ बस मूव कर
it's
दो,
not.
इसमें तो एक्सप्लोरेशन एक ही बार है अनरिलेटेड के, मुझे तो रिलेटेड वाले कभी चाहिए, ऐसा हो गया तो क्या होगा, तो चलो पोर्ट कर दो ऐसा।
मनीष, टेली
या
कॉलिंग पे पोर्टिंग हो रही है, पीपल आर
हाँ
कॉलिंग
हाँ
अप एज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स ऑफ द कंपनी, तो हमारी ये
हाँ
पॉलिसी में ये बेटर है, आप पोर्ट कर दो, मेरा आदमी आके लेके
आई
जाएगा, ऑनलाइन लॉगिन हो जाएगा
SIM
पॉलिसी,
नो
हमको एज एन
आई नो
एजेंट पता नहीं चला मेरी पॉलिसी पोर्ट हो गई।
आई नो आई गेट सो मेनी कॉल्स, लाइक एज अ इन्वेस्टर आई गेट, उनको पता नहीं कहाँ से डेटाबेस मिल जाता है और वो बोलते हैं भाई यहाँ पोर्ट
Yeah,
कर।
it's become like SIM card wala porting.
हाँ
Hmm.
हाँ,
या
स्कैम चल रहा है बहुत बड़ा बड़ा।
Yeah. So I think we've gone beyond our time. If everybody is okay, we can take one last question and then wind up. Till then, I'm going to say a few words about Beshak. If there are people who you think can benefit from this forum, please do share this Telegram channel with people. I think the kind of content we are doing, I personally feel, and obviously my view is biased because I run this, but I think there is the number of people that are there on this group could be much higher because there are so many people who could benefit from whatever we are doing. Please do share, and also if you have any feedback, do also tweet or post or do something like that, which helps us basically spread the word. Yeah. If we don't have any questions, then I think we can wind up. We've gone 16 minutes beyond our timeline. Or any last words anybody wants to, like, closing remarks, they would be more than happy to.
what is planned for next Saturday, Mahavir?
Yeah, we've not been able to actually. Next Saturday, we will have to maybe keep it for some other time. I have another
Okay,
preoccupation. But
okay.
what is the time that is usually comfortable with everybody? Can we keep it for, let's say, 12 o'clock or in the afternoon on Saturday? The next one, is that something that the people on the call would be okay with? And
Take views
also,
of
if there is
everybody.
any,
Yeah,
yeah, what I'll do is I'll do a poll and maybe on the
yeah,
group and then take views.
yeah.
The other thing
Also,
is that, is there
logically,
any?
the
Yeah, sorry, go
logically
ahead.
the next discussion topic should be, and this is just coming to mind from what we were
Yeah,
discussing today. See, finally selecting a health insurance policy, keeping in mind one, individual; two, family floater; three, restore; fourth, super top up. Package
right,
this. So there may be people who are connected with companies who do not work with ABCD company. They are not able to get the unlimited restore benefit. How do they compensate and create a package for their clients? By adding a
right.
simple super top up. You know, a 25 lakh rupee super top up at 2.5, 3,000 rupees. Wonderful. Restore hoya nahi hoya, the top up will work for you even if the restore doesn't work. It will pay you
Right.
for critical, it will pay you for everything. So, how to package a health insurance product rather than selling a Reassure or a Optima Restore or X policy, package a solution.
Correct, correct. Yeah. So basically, what you're trying to say, Deepak, is basically how to package a cover amount,
Yes, yes,
various options that are available. Whether you should package it
yes,
with the NCB, whether you should package it with restores, whether you should package it with
yeah.
buying a higher cover or buy package it with a top up,
A super
is what
top up.
basically
Yes,
could be a
yes,
topic. Yeah,
yes,
I think that's
yes.
a next,
So, if I
that's a
have a
damn good
5 plus
topic.
50, if I have a 5 plus 50 with a 5 lakh deductible, I'm not bothered about whether my policy has restore or not, because once the 5 is over,
Absolutely.
the 50 will kick in. End of the story.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah. So I think we'll take this only as the next topic. Thank you, Deepak, for suggesting this.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, I think we'll mostly do it at 12 o'clock, or maybe I'll just do a kind of a quick poll on the channel and take views, and then circle back with all of you guys with the announcement. Thank you so much for everyone joining in. Again, please share the word. Thank you very much. If it was useful for you, obviously, if it was not useful for you, it's absolutely fine. You're not sharing it with anyone. Thank you, everyone,
Great.
for joining. Thank
Great
you,
show,
Deepak.
Mahavir.
Thank you, Avinash.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, Manish. Bye bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye bye.